Okie dokie, let's look at these 3 crochet tool novelties. These are just some extra, just because they're too cute not to show. So let's start with the one that we're all wondering about. It is the Service Crochet Ball Holder, made in England. Just a simple cardboard box. Inside this beauty. Now, this is a little bracelet, or you could attach it to your belt loops. Adjustable in size, you can go smaller. And then this swivel here moves freely, very nice. Weight at the bottom, and this is a pin, perfect for self-defense really. Your wool would go on there, this on your wrist or your belt, and then you could wear your wool around as you work. Let me just get this back to the size, perfect. And this is Needlework for All. This is around 1911, I believe it was, to my last research, and it has an advertisement for a similar one. The wristlet crochet ball holder, let's get that in focus, makes crocheting a pleasure, keeps cotton always under control. No more tangled thread, no more hunting for fallen balls. Your ball is always where you want it and unwinds as you work without pulling. Beautifully made in 5 finishes from nickel, solid silver, or rolled gold. Isn't that precious? And you can see how it would be used there. Isn't that so fun? An absolute novelty and great condition. I got it from a haberdashery lot when I was buying vintage crochet hooks. I didn't really know what it was back then, but I'm so happy I invested in it. Super fun. Now, let's get to number 2. This gorgeous beauty. The Victoria and Albert Museum in London has one of these on their website, which is so fun. Up here you're going to see some writing. It says the MP Handy Guide for Knitting and Crochet. It's British made and has the registration number. We have rows, increase times decrease, a ruler, and of course a needle gauge. Some of these pegs are frozen, but they do move freely. This one round here is capable of swiveling, so you can go from 1 to 40. Isn't that gorgeous? This one I dated to around 1940 to 50. At the back, it's instructions for the MP Handy Guide for Knitting and Crochet. Rows. When knitting and suddenly called away, mark off the number of rows reached. Increase/decrease for casting on or casting off stitches. Times. To mark off the pattern when doing fancy knitting, etc. Measure. Very handy when tape measure is mislaid. Needle gauge for correct sizes from 6 to 12. Isn't that neat? Super duper fun. Again, from a haberdashery lot. It wasn't my main point of interest, but now that I have it, couldn't live without it. I never use it, I just love it though. Now, the simplest one, bone rings. Why would these be interesting? I mean, just alone bone, super fun. I've got a bone thimble, crochet hooks, knitting needles, and then the 2 mystery items. But in the 40s, for pot holders, they would use these for the rings, so you could hang up your pot holder. Super fun. But the main point of interest is sort of molds. So brass molds, these aren't exactly them, forgive me, I don't have them on hand. But molds as a whole, I'll show you what I mean. This is the Victorian Crochet book, and there are Rocco patterns, which are these lovely fellas, which use a mold, which is usually brass, sometimes bone. See, this is a mold, and you crochet upon it. And you create these lovely works of art. So you could have hearts, you could have circles, and pear shapes. You would crochet around it, and then join them together, interlink them to create gorgeous works of art. You know, bone ring is just always handy to have. Brass or bone, whatever, but it is a gorgeous piece of crochet history. The freaking crazy bit is majority of used molds, some of them don't. You just crochet a ring and it requires no mold. I had one pattern which was moldless and I thought was crazy for being so. It must be earlier on. Oh, here it is. This one doesn't use any molds. So you wouldn't have any of these interlinked or nothing. You just crochet circles, but they look fabulous. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, that's them. I thought they were just a great thing to show and talk about. And if you're thinking the kind of morals around this, it's a scrap product, it's a waste product. So these were all Victorian, all of the bone items I have. So I've got knitting needles and a crochet hook. This one has a rubber band because it's not complete, so I can still use it. But these animals were being slaughtered for meat, specifically bovine, cow. And this was a waste product such as leather. So instead of, throwing away, scrapping it, they found out you can bleach them and then polish them and have lovely knitting needles, rings, hooks. The cool thing about these ones is you can see they were spliced. Splicing is this line down here. So what you're looking for, let me get that off, is this shape, right? Look for that in these. Let me see if I can help you out. There we are. The glares on it a bit, but you can see the harsh line on this one especially, right? And you can see a change in texture, especially this one up here. You can see how lovely and polished the bottom is, nice and white, and then the top much rougher, more texture. So that's splicing. Splicing, you would get two bones which were a shorter length, form them into this shape, and then cement them. So glue them together. Wrap string around, let it set, polish it off, clean it off. Real manufactured, like well manufactured one, you won't feel it. It's super smooth, super polished. That's so you could get the length you needed, right? Anyway, absolutely genius. Thought it was worth sharing. I'll never get over it. I think it's super duper fun. So yeah, they were a waste product, but you can put them in your crochet and they're great. So last two, we have these two. Let's start with this one. Again, bone. And this is a pin holder. I've never touched these pins. Since I got it, this is how they've been. The craftsmanship is extremely skillful. This is just the actual bone. This is not anything about it. Same here, that's the lovely bone texture. Absolutely gorgeous. And you've got the decoration here. It is sewn into, absolutely gorgeous. Now we have the umbrella. Super happy when I got this one. Victorian era, very nicely made. Perfect craftsmanship, no damage, none of these are broken. This one is a needle holder. These are just embroidery needles. Isn't that absolutely fabulous? And it just screws in. Very nicely made. I'm just excited that it's such good condition. Sorry, is it a parasol or umbrella? I don't know. Anyway, I thought these were worth sharing. I thought they were fun pieces of history for us to look through together. And of course, if I get any more crochet tools throughout the years, I'll be on here showing them off because they're just incredible to look at. We have the modern equivalent of this, which is the little stands where you put it on and it spins out. And fun fact, you know how people have the bowls with a hole in them and then you pull out the thread? Well, apparently back in the day, this is why I read from Mary Conway's book, right? She writes that back in the day, women would just put a jar on the floor, put their wool inside, and then use it like that instead of these bowls. Anyway, it's just fun seeing how we change. This, I think, needs to have a comeback. That is really fun. And I like how it says, when knitting and suddenly called away. It happens though, doesn't it? Anyway, super fun items. If I have any more, I'll be back.